In its place, we see a Sparrowmon swing and evolve into Raptor Sparrow. Enabling a collision to force the block. Pushing it out of the way for whatever he puts down next. Like the... Yep. That can swing as well. Finally getting a check through. We'd probably see Kotone here being activated. The Digicross another the Cross 7 from underneath the Kotone. No, he's got an EX6 in his hand. That's a little scary though. He might run into the Styraco effect if you use him. Styraco, when Digimon would leave by deleting opponent's lowest DP Digimon, they don't leave. I'm assuming they chose not to use that against the Raptor Sparrow. But now that everything is inside... Okay, since the Shooting Star comes out, the Shooting Star will most likely become the target of the Styraco effect. He probably isn't as worried at this point, and he's probably fine with the Shooting Star leaving at this point as well. The thing is, Trapmon EX6 has a deletion effect on its when attacking, if I remember correctly. DP minus when it's on play. Yeah, delete one of it. Yeah. So you'd be forced to attempt to delete the Styracomon. Which should make two things happen. First is the protection effect that would let him delete the shooting. First, Alliance first to get the security attack plus. Then you attempt to delete. That should make it so that Styraco can prevent the deletion by deleting the Shooting Star. Alright, yeah, he was resolving the on-deletion of Shooting Star, which is basically just to tuck extra sources in their tamers. With nothing else going on, this should mean... But if you prevented a deletion with the first effect, he doesn't have to use Armor Purge, or is Armor Purge mandatory? I don't believe it is. Do you have like a secondary effect that he was using to... Oh, he used the... Oh, what's going on? Oh, did he use a D-Digivolve in here? I don't see one. That's... No, he didn't have D-Digivolve. Yeah, Armor Purge is Yume, so he didn't have to use the Armor Purge as well. Either way, Cross 7 just bounces the Medusa that's left over. Oh no, that's what he did. I thought he was going to go for security, but he instead goes for attacking over the Styraco. He wanted to get rid of it entirely. If he's going to use the Cross 7, then he could have just kept it as a Styracomon, didn't have to attack into it. Unless he just forgot Armor Purge exists. Or maybe he didn't want to actually go towards security because he was worried about hitting a tamer or like a tamer and or scramble. He drops it Cross 7, Cross 7 on play, bounce back the Medusa, pass the opponent for like 2 or 3. Looks like 3. And with no BT21 Taikikudo, he doesn't get to attack with it or anything. There's a scramble from his hand to set up, and then... Ooh, interesting. The Raging Serpentine. At least highest DP it looks like, and then that targets the EX6 because of the DP boost that you get from the Greymon. Now he's saving the materials. Hello chat. Sorry, I'm a little unkempt. We'll have to see how effective that is. Because the Crossheart player here still has his Cross 7 on board, which can swing twice. If he has like a fire rocket. If he has that, plus like another way to get like another rush body he can cross for, like another cross 6. It might be game potentially. He's going for the EX cross 6 here. Using Cantone to make it even cheaper. Goes potentially for free. Swings with that. For the last check. Ah, yeah, that also works. Evolve EX cross 6 to cross 7 on Evo unsuspend and attack for game. Nice, nice. Yeah, started a little late, so we missed like a bit of the beginning there, but like we basically caught all like the big moments. From where I started, there was already a Straco on board, and most of the Crossheart's security was gone, and then they just sort of dealt with it. Playing out the Jaeger Derulu from under the E-Cross 6 by having it like basically forced to die to Sirocco effect. Or forced collision, got forced to get blocked by Sirocco. Kind of just sort of bought him the time he needed. Diana Matt spotted, you're right. Also, I just realized that the views aren't lined up. Or rather, I just need to rotate this one so they go against each other. Diana mat versus the Three Musketeers mat that I believe you get from one of the regionals, not the nationals participation. Diana mat looks to be custom. Alright. Game 2. At least one player starts. Or maybe I can get the names. I know they're truncated because of streamer mode. I have to turn that off later, maybe. Basic start. Evolve Lies in the back. Play... Looks like Scramble. Well, opting not to use it to... for the cost reduction, but setting up as a delay later, which is a pretty valid effect as well, especially if you're like bricked, because one potentially thing that could happen is if your opponent swings into you and then checks like one of the pieces you're missing, you can scramble it back. And then nothing to note is about like Crossheart. Crossheart is like a since it's like slam playstyle as opposed to an evolve playstyle. Once they've got their stuff going, they can make plays every turn. And to match that pace as like a climb deck, you typically would need something like Scramble, so that you can like rebuild the board in case that they clear you. Heyo. Sorry. Match over here, chat's over there. Heyo, Riot. If anyone's chatting on YouTube, for some reason I can't see the chat on my end. So apologies if I can't respond to you there. I just got a something went wrong message for some reason. Might have to do with the fact that I have like multiple YouTube accounts. I'm logged in, might be because I'm logged into my other one while streaming on this one. Anyway. So you see Crosshair player played another Taiki, the one from BT21. Meanwhile, Medusa player is going off, activating Lamia, swinging, checking into cross 6, evolving into Medusamon. He did check into E cross 6, which means he probably had to protect itself by deleting the token. Unless he has some kind of DP boost. Which I don't think that one has a DP boosting effect, right? I know one of the Medusas can boost its B quite a bit. People tend to be moving towards the newer Medusa, which does not. Yeah. So assuming what just happened is that they deleted a token to protect itself from the security battle. Ending on Styrakomon. Okay. Crushing a security. Activating Lamia Inherit to play a Elizamon. Cool, cool. Potentially a pretty similar situation to what they set themselves up for last game. But they have a scramble on board. Again, no Owens, which is a little sad. And the thing about Crossart is they need a lot of pieces to get their, you know, just about everything going. So if they don't find it all here, they might be like just screwed. It's not like any of the cross 4s or cross 5s do enough, at least not anymore. Especially when the game kind of requires you to, you know. The thing about cross 4 and cross 5 is they just don't have a lot of removal effects on them. Like E cross 6 and the new cross 7 are like part of like the big things to go into now. They have removal effects and they're pretty aggressive because of the rush. We're seeing an E cross 6 here. No shooting star to go with it, but it's still DP minuses and swings. Affected the effect to delete. Unfortunately, that's going to trigger Styrakumon's protection effect. But since there is a token on the board, the token is would get deleted. But that would trash security and trigger the other effect of Styrakomon to also attempt to delete the Shotcross EX6. So regardless, Cross 6 might get just deleted here. Or I'm assuming so. No? Looks like collision happened. Did we forget about Styraco's Alterns effect or something? Or am I missing something myself? All turns when opponent's security stack is removed from, you may delete one of their Digimon. Doesn't even have like a requirement or anything, just delete one of their Digimon. And if he blocked, he also has Armor Purge and chose not to use that. Maybe he let that go through? But his own turn, he's not doing much. He's just setting up an Owen and evolving in the back. Yeah, that's probably something I'm missing. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. No Armor Purge, no second Alterns effect, or no Alterns to delete with Styraco. I was hoping if I'm missing something, because I don't play either of these decks and I can't listen to them, then potentially maybe the chat knows something that I don't, that I'm missing here. The only other thing I'm thinking was since Armor Purge is like optional, maybe he just chooses to let it go. Like for like a just so that the board is clear for his scramble on a future turn. Maybe he's confident that the opponent won't kill him, and then he can like make a huge push for game when his board is clear and he has a scramble available. That's like the one thing I can think of. He did do the lowest protection, which is deleted. Yeah. So the token did get popped, but he didn't do the second alternate effect to then pop the EX6. That's the first weird thing, and the second weird thing is that no armor purge after the collision. Now I know armor purge is optional, so he might have chosen not to do it for whatever reason. I guess the other effect is also optional. Like I said before, both those are optional, so either maybe he forgot, or maybe he's doing it intentionally to set up for the scramble. Because one way he could potentially win here is if the opponent doesn't put up any blockers, if the crossheart player doesn't put up any blockers, maybe the plan here is to move up Eliza's swing, or and then scramble play out like a level 3, evolve into Cyclomon for the rush, and then swing, since the opponent only has one security left. It's a ballsy play. To be for sure. If he's gonna do that, then he should have put the Cyclone on top of his deck. But probably also just an easier way to end the game right here as well. Like some sort of like trash their last security, swing for a game type of deal. Does that E-Cross 6 have blocker anyway? If it's a blocker, you have to get through it somehow. At least there's no like when leaving effect like the Cross 6 does, or Cross 7 does. Come on. Reboot. Won't have blocker unless it's from its inherits. And I believe that Alter Ballista is... Antler Ballista, I believe, is piercing, not blocker. No, it is blocker. How do you get piercing on the stack then? Oh, I'm guessing Darulu is piercing. But he does, so yeah, kind of a wild that's the play he was going for if he has a reboot blocker on the board. Maybe he was concerned that it would get stunned again if he just doesn't let it to die. Right? Because that's what happened in game 1, is that he put out a Styraco, and the Styraco just got stunned by a Jaeger Darulu. And then he ends up losing in the end. Maybe he really wanted to let it go just so that he'd have the option to scramble and like make a play. He didn't end up even scrambling on the next turn. He just played a Tamer and waited for the turn after, which ended up being fine, but it was kind of a risky play. You need to stream up on the side. Yeah. These are coming in, deleting, swinging. mean, this is a pretty good position here, because even if it was blocked, the token gets deleted and the security is trashed in any way. And now that security is removed, he could potentially drop the like a Cyclomon. The Cyclomon then forces him to eat a block. He can then potentially play out another Digimon in some way that could let him swing for game with the Owen in the back. Yeah, there's Cyclomon. You just have to get past the blocker still. That Raikomon doesn't do anything here either, since there's like no security left to trash. Maybe if he didn't swing and go into Styraco, maybe that would have been smarter. Maybe he doesn't have Styraco. No, in the end, he just leaves him at 0 security with no plan afterwards. Maybe if you had a second Cyclomon, because I believe that's the O1 that gives you like end of turn, gives something piercing and may swing, right? So if you had like a second Cyclomon, that could have done it. But I'm pretty sure one of his Cyclomons are in his trash, so we don't even know if he even plays 3 Cyclomons. Yeah, second Styrakomon. If Styrakomon, if he didn't swing, could have been the end, because it's just like trash security, delete, Lamia effects, drop Cyclo, end of turn swing. Maybe he was planning to do that, but then forgot at some point and then swung the Medusa, and then realized he messed up by swinging the Medusa. E-Cross swings. Okay, E-Cross 6 swings when attacking, deletes the Demetro, and then collision forces the Cyclo to block. Which, if that's the case, that was a real waste of a Cyclo. Because then, without that Cyclo in hand, he probably could have, you know, if he doesn't die this turn, maybe he could have killed next turn if he just goes, swings, forces the block, and then slams the Cyclo to get for game. Now he needs another Cyclo to actually to win from this position, because he still needs to get past the E-Cross 6 blocker. And Styraco is kind of awkward for this, because, again, Styraco requires you to trash your opponent's security, and the opponent doesn't have any. I'm probably seeing the end of the game here, though. Oh, never mind. Armor, maybe still. No. Gonna drop cross 7 on the board. He's gonna pass memory over to do so. First activate Taiki to make an attack, then use its on-play effect to unsuspend and bottom deck the Medusamon. But the Medusamon at least will get to stay on board since it can delete a token to prevent itself from leaving. Now, oh, you swung into the Medusa? No, but the Medusa can still protect itself by deleting the token. That is the Medusa that lets you do that, right? There are 2 tokens on the board. The Medusa, that's like twice that the opponent chooses not to protect his own stuff. Yep, that is the Medusa that has the alterance effect. That's like twice now. I don't want to call him too much, but maybe I saw some smoke going on his side of the from his camera, so maybe that's like the best thing I can think of what's going on here. Sorry. Yeah, looks like they're scooping it up. That should be game 2. Game 1 and 2 went to the Crossheart player. Let's quickly hop into a different table then. Since this one went pretty quickly, it looks like. Alright, what are we jumping into this time? Red Hybrid? Is Soy Marcos here? Can't tell. I should probably open up the I'll do that between rounds. I'll open up the Limitless page for this. Because we're about to see... Looks like another game is getting scooped up here. If this is Marcos, then I'm not surprised that he just took it. It was against Shine. Oh, is he showing up? They put Pokemon into his deck? I've always wondered why he hasn't been like showing up again. Always felt like his effect in hybrids is absolutely insane. I guess he's like only like, I mean, he's extremely crazy if he can stick around on the board for a turn. And it seems that might be pretty difficult to pull off in this meta when there's so much more like rookie removal on level 4s and such. Because if he can get him to stick around on the board, he can potentially use his Altern's effect to gain memory twice, which then makes him more than pay for himself, makes him an absolutely insane card. But I feel like even just like if you have 3 memory, you know, playing him and then evolving into a hybrid for free is still pretty good. At that point, you basically just only paid 1 for like a search, which I think is good value. A search plus a body plus potentially if it isn't removed by your opponent, you can get even more memory. I think Pokemon is a crazy card. I think that was the end of that round as well. Alright, let me open up today's Limitless page. Oh no! Marcos lost. I just checked the pairings. And he reported a loss versus Camrad. Congrats to Camrad then. Well, yeah, Shiny's doing well, and it's also primed to get more support in the next set, so definitely a deck to watch out for. Table 2 is still going, it looks like. We have 10 minutes left in the match. I guess we should hop into there while we wait for the next round to start. There we go. So what are we catching the tail end of? Looks like we got Medusa versus PS. We got a typical TSN board set up here looking at. A Venusmon, a Neptunemon, and another rookie. Up against the opponent's completely stripped and stunned Medusamon. You know, just the things you see all the time in this matchup. And Priogen Minus gets support? Maybe one day. It's probably in the back of the line, in the same way that a lot of other BT20 archetypes are. The thing about Digimon right now is that, like, we're focusing a lot on sets that are, like, very heavily themed around certain properties, like TS or Beat Break and Data Squad. And I usually like to cycle those around. It feels like in general, unless like in an EX set they want to like reinvent a certain archetype, we don't get like too many opportunities to get like legacy support in general. Sometimes it happens, like the Seals Dramon stuff in BT25. They definitely feel like the exception to the rule. So it is kind of a mystery when we'll next see something like a random Imperial support or random Seeker support or stuff like that. It just, it might, just show up out of nowhere in a random set. Otherwise, we just gotta wait for like a set with the right theme. Like if you're a fan of Royal Knight decks like Gallantmon or DNA Omni, we're getting support for that in Chivalrous 13. Or if you're a fan of like All Force, that's getting support. But the weird thing about Bias Imperial is he doesn't have a lot of properties attached to him besides like Liberator. And since Liberator just ended, kind of like a big mystery when the next time we'll see like proper support for the Liberators again. Unless we get like a random promo in the future or something. Could happen. It is a solid enough deck on its own that all it might need is like a single good promo for it to become relevant again. It feels like it happens occasionally, where a deck is just like out of the meta and it gets like maybe 1 or 2 new cards and suddenly it's playable again. Because it feels like that's what happened with Crossheart. Crossheart got Katone as a promo plus Cross 7, and suddenly it's like people are playing it again. Oh, welcome back. Welcome to the chat, Camrad. We didn't quite catch, since we were watching table 3, we didn't quite catch you, what happened in your table. We hopped in and you guys were already scooping up. And for a second there, I thought Marcos had won, since he had such a strong showing the last time I commentated. Oh yeah, congrats on winning round 1. Looks like we're about to get to round 2 anytime now. Or since table 2 looks like they're scooping up. Unless they're scooping up and shuffling for game 3 or something. We don't have a lot of time left. We have like 5 minutes. So they have like maybe 10 minutes to finish a game 3. I guess it could be possible if like, say, the Medusa player has like a very fast hand and kills like immediately. Evoed, he misplayed an Evo under Ruin -10. Yikes. Yeah, he might have gotten confident because it's like, with Red Hybrid, you usually are able to play through regular Ruin -5. Because a lot of times you can hybrid evolve into something that's like 6k or higher. But at -10, it's like, the additional thing is that the Ruin is no longer on the board, so it's very easy to just accidentally forget about it. Okay, one of the players here is now just eating his chicken, so you might just be assuming here that they are actually just done. We're just waiting for them to then just report the games. Oh, they are reported. So we're just waiting on Michael to click go on the next round then. Yeah, Michael, click go on the next round already. Jet selfied without DP inherits, and I mean, like, did he use the Jet Selfie main effect to like warp into it? Yeah, and I guess you could. I think you could definitely easily like. It's 8K, so all you need is like 2 plus 2K DPs, and then you'd be able to get over to the ruin. And yeah, I guess if you miss that second extra DP boost, then it's gone. You needed to suspend your blocker that was on the board. I gotcha. It was on one of the Kuya. Oh, it was on the Takuya that was BT21. Yikes! Yeah, so you definitely need to do that underneath the one of the triple tamers, so they can potentially would have sources that give them DP boost. Oh, awkwardly enough, when you use a Jet Sylphie effect, you took like what Kaze plus Zephyr, and neither of those cards, I believe, have DP boosting effects. Kaze has the when you leave, play a tamer, and Jet Sylph has piercing, or not Jet Sylph. Zephyr has piercing. They don't even innately get any just by doing the one effect. All right, I just stick to table 2 for now, since we're already here. Let me put my BGM back on. Probably cycle it a little too. Because this one track is extended to 30 minutes, which is why it plays for so long. It's a normal battle theme from Super Cross Wars, the DS game. I think it's pretty good as like a nice like ambient BGM. Yeah, good luck, Conrad. Like we're at his table. Did you get someone dropping out for round 2? It looks like. Yeah. The table 4 has a bye. Surprisingly, it'll turn out for like a Monday Eagles Nest. Are people just waiting for the new set to drop already? Maybe it's just an awkward time to be playing. Looks like Cameron's going first. How can you play? Just sign up for it on, join Eagles Nest Discord. They have sign-up links posted every week, so you can play on their Monday and Thursday events on Limitless. Might not be a bad idea to drop an invite to this server link in the chat right now. Do that. Yeah. So there's an invite to the Eagles Nest server where you can then find the sign-up links to their tournaments and the announcements. And that's starting with an Ukomon in the back, and then the TS player goes ahead and evolves. I believe there's a Tapermon, his hand is covering it, and then he drops Cannon. He considers using its effect to use an option card, and then chooses not to. Okay. If it was an in-between theater, I would assume you just drop that right away, but considering that he hesitated, I'm assuming in that case, then that means that he it was like an Abyss area, but he didn't have a target to play with Abyss area and chose to save it for later. And Uko's doing Uko things, allowing him to hatch and evolve an Agumon in the back, and then Digital Gate open. Ruin mode is showing there, so he might pick up the Ruin mode. which seems pretty good for like stopping any level 3s from moving out and evolving up into Digimons. But otherwise, it feels like, you know, since you oftentimes already slam your Venus Mons and Neptune Mons, it is entirely shut down a TS deck. Speaking of Papermon moving out and then evolving into Digimon, so now we're gonna get some free tamers going. No tamer. Parrotmon. Now there's a card I don't see often. Parrotmon suspends the Uko, and then you can attack over it by using the Danon Cannon to force an attack. Parrotmon is interesting. It's a Titan, so it's definitely one you tend to not to see in non-Titan TS decks, but it is still a TS card, so you can still run it. It's got like, what was it? On play when Digivolving, suspend opponent's Digimon, then if played by effects, you can like bot deck or return to hand a suspended, I believe the lowest DP suspended Digimon. And then he has Fortitude, which is a good way for you to have a way to, you know, play him by effect, even if you aren't playing Titans, because Titans can just play it by effect by using Invasion. I mean, I guess if you're not going on the Sylphie route, you can just use whatever, like, utility level 5s you want. He's going for the Parrotmon here, which is really interesting. I'm not really sure if that's, like what does that, like, solve for you? But it is an extra, because you already have ways to bounce things with Neptune. I guess he's just there to be aggressive as well, since the Fortitude allows him to, you know, swing semi-safely. I mean, he has Barrier anyway, so he can choose. I guess it's like just like an additional form of removal on top of what he already has. I feel like it might make more sense to do so once you have like more, like if you have Central Area, it's a green, so you can play it off a Central Area, but you can't play it off of Abyss Area. One of those areas could potentially play out the Parrot for you to use as effect, which doesn't seem like a bad way to get him out. All right. Now he plays the in-between theater to choke the opponent to 1. But you know what? Maybe this matchup might be a really good reason to... specifically this matchup might be a good one, because the Fortitude acts as like a on-deletion trap, right? So that might mess with the... This is like a good way to like have an effect during the opponent's turn for the opponent to like potentially like interact with, right? As long as that Parrot's on board, Handred might have trouble going into like a Shine Gray. If that Shine Gray ends up deleting the Parrotmon, oops, Parrotmon drops on the board and might completely mess with what you're going for. Parrot's not even moving out here. He's instead cracking the DGO to play out a Marcus. This is the BT13 one, I'm assuming. So he suspended it to -3k the Parrot. We need to do another -4k to remove it. And then he drops an Agumon to search. Yeah, Cameron might be missing a lot of pieces here, considering his plays. Is he missing a 4 and or 5, I'm assuming? Now that Marcus is on board, he doesn't get choked to 1 anymore. Nice for him. And now the TS player gets to go to his turn with 2 bodies on board and like 6 memory to work with, which is pretty scary. But if you without the Sophie-mon, you don't have like a lot of like super huge burst turns. But maybe like if you evolve into like Neptune, you can like swing twice, plus the I guess you can then also swing the Elecmon in the back. That would put the opponent. That would put Conrad to 1. And then what? It's not like you can then slam Maruki. If he goes into like Neptune, he'd have to be like maybe it'd have to be like double Maruki then. It's like a Maruki swing twice, plus the Elecmon in the back, and then like slam Maruki, swing over like the Agumon to pierce for the last check, and then unsuspend, and then Tamer swing for game. So if you had double Maruki, you could have had lethal here. I think he's just going for another fairly slow play here of just sort of sitting on his parrot. No, he's evolving it up into a Marukimon. Okay. You can unsuspend. Also suspend one of his tamers, Marcus, but it's not like he stuns it or anything. It's funny that he suspends tamers, but doesn't actually stun it unless he has some other like card to like stun it with. Oh, I forgot that the Parrotmon in here was like, you know, trash security if deleted by battle. Damn, then double Maruki definitely would have been lethal, even without Tamer. Okay. Passing him to 3 with a Ganon Cannon. We could see some Ganon Cannon shenanigans. There's a second. In-between tutor, adding Abyss area, bottom decking Neptune and some other card I didn't see. Now he has that Abyss area, you can also play that off of the second Ganon Cannon. His security is too high, so it's not like he's going to be able to use this to drop a Venusmon, though that would have been really good to then stun his cards. But he can use it to drop Minervamon. So he still has a Digimon on board that has like an on-deletion effect that could mess with the Shine player's plays. And this one also gives all of his Digimon blocker. Oh my god. Yes, he can also attack with it because of Maruki giving it Rush. Getting rid of the last of the security. So now we have a position where Conrad really needs to pull something off here to win the game. And doing so while having to deal with Minerva. Minerva might not be that scary. You probably don't really mind that much that he might potentially like de-Digivolve you if you like clear it with like Shine Gray. Because it's not like the Marcuses can be de-Digivolved. And those just kind of make up the brunt of your damage. And if you de-Digivolve Shine Gray, then what? You're probably gonna just be able to like go into another one or something. That might be disruptive in the way that might prevent him from going into like a burst mode when he needs to. We're going into Geogray. I believe this is the one that evolves for free if you drop a Marcus, and he does have a DG already. Yep, he's gonna crack that DGO, it looks like. Crack DGO. For a second, Marcus plus Agumon. Triggering the effect to go into a Rise Gray. This is a Rise Gray that lets you treat one of them as a Digimon. Give it Russian Alliance. So the new Marcus he played in Swing. Tournament on DCGO. Do you only play on DCGO? You gotta be playing on paper at some point as well. I don't know about any DCGO tournaments. I assume some people do run them. Interesting that he chose to hard evolve the Shine Gray. I don't mind it, because in this case, he gets to use its effect to potentially play out a Marcus and then like delete the Minervamon. So that way, when he swings the Marcus and Agumon, he can evolve right back into another Shine Gray. Oh, he just straight up DP minusing it too. That's crazy. No, he's DP minusing the Marukimon. Might be even better. Because, like, now he can, like, potentially swing the... Maybe he can also burst mode if he wanted to as well, right here. Or he can, like, swing and then evolve for free, or reduce cost into, like, a Ruin or something. So swinging, activating effect to draw. And then some effect deleted the Minerva. Minerva on deletion? I'm kind of lost. Was that like a crash? If I remember, I have to ask again what happened here. Okay, burst mode comes down, turns Marcus into a Digimon, which lets him swing, gain a memory, crash a security, do one check. Imagine if that was the new burst mode. All of his Marcuses on board are suddenly becoming Digimon and can swing. The game would just be over, I believe. Unless he has some way to keep turning here. We go to end of turn, so first the, yeah, that falls off. And then he turns one of them into a Digimon that can swing. Ooh. Yep, and then he swings in alliances. And then evolves into Ruin mode. To do the Ruin mode 2 checks. And he's safe from Abyss area, because whatever he plays off with Abyss area is just going to die immediately, most likely. And then end of turn, delete, or end of attack, delete self, recover, and do another -5. Pretty good play here. Clear security and put him under Ruin. That's against majority of matchups. That's just GG. At the very least, the Olympus player could like hard slam a Venus, or hard slam. No, Neptune can't be hard slammed here. The opponent doesn't have 2 Digimon. Not sure if Venus would do enough here, since the Venus at best would like maybe stun 2 things. You'd have to have like maybe you would need like Homeros and Venusmon, I believe. I think if he has it all, maybe a good play here would be like evolve in the back for 2 memory. Then like slam Homeros for 5 and go end of turn Dan and Cannon 1 to go like Abyss area, use that to drop Venusmon, stun 2 things, then go Homeros effect, reuse the Venusmon effect, then another 2 things, and you know have the opponent's board completely stunned and have an Abyss area on security. Right, cracking both of the in-between theaters, giving him 4 more memory to work with. So now he's at 8. No, taking back 1 of them, so he's at 6. He can still do a similar play from this position, because if he can like slam Homeros and then he's slamming another in-between theater. There's the Homeros. Okay, but now he needs to like pass the opponent to 3 if he wants to do it with the Dan and Cannons. So he needs to like, if he slams Homeros now, it doesn't work. So he needs to like pay some memory. Ooh, wait, that works. That actually works. Yes. Minerva play the Homeros. And Dan and Cannon activate Abyss area. Yeah. Then comes down to Venusmon. And then Homeros reactivate the Venusmon. So everything is stunned. And he has 2 blockers. And he has Abyss area. Nice. Yeah. You have a lot of defensive plays as TS, man. It's crazy. The Ruin was not quite enough to lock the opponent out of like doing making crazy plays. Which is probably why I'm assuming Bandai considers Ruin to be fine. They're just sort of designing more and more decks that can just sort of like play through it. Which I don't mind, personally. At least not at the moment. I think it keeps the game more interesting that way. Because I feel like they're designing way more interesting decks in that way, that we have more decks that can play through Ruin. Alright, what did I miss? So did he just slam Marcus and then slam Rise Gray? I looked away for a second because looking at the opponent's board. Yeah, but that is a play. Slammed Marcus, slam Rise Gray. Rise Gray forced it to swing, evolving to Shine. Shine plays Marcus plus Agumon. And then the Shine effect also gets to DP minus and or delete something. I gotta reread Shine Gray 81 every time. I don't play enough Shine myself. Maybe I should. Like on DCG or something. Yeah. One opponent's Digimon gets minus 3 KDP for each opponent's Digimon and Tamers. So it gets to DP minus 1 of them by a ton. So one of them is almost certainly dead by the DP minus effect. And then... Okay, so I'm assuming he DP minus the Venusmon. The Venusmon then puts away the Marcus as it goes with its one leaving effect. Then the Alterns effect of Shine Gray can also trigger to delete the Minervamon. Minervamon looks like he was about to do the on deletion effect, but I think maybe he decided, like, since that deletion effect is optional, he just chooses not to. And instead goes end of turn, turn it into a Digimon swing, drawing a card, and then evolving into a Ruin mode here, potentially. That's minus 5k. He can block, and he already... Oh, he didn't use the Alterns effect, so if he blocks here, blocking 13 minus 5 is 8, so he's going to be bigger than the Marcus and Agumon. And then the inherit from Rise Gray is just going to put that Marcus and Agumon on top of security. So he was able to like effectively heal himself back up to 4 when he was at 0 previously. Insane. I looked away and then I saw the Marcus is in trash. And the Medusa just, Medusa, Minerva is just there. Did he recover the Marcus? He should still be able to. Locomon to search. Getting another Homeros. Decided not to, so that Shine can break it later. That makes sense. Marcus hit Minerva in security, but there was a Minerva on the board and it disappeared. A little confusing then. And I guess then what happened at that previous turn is that the Shine deleted the Minerva and he just chose not to play anything off of it. So nothing got digied, and then Marcus hit a Minerva in security. God, I'm so off right now. Trying to pay attention to both sides and looking at the chat and reading cards. I keep missing plays. Okay. I'll try to lock in more here. Hiroko comes down to search. Agumon is still upside down as if he's stunned, but he's not going to be stunned here for long. Okay, interesting. Evolve into... Neptunemon and activate Homeros to bottom deck both. That removes the Ruin threat. But now, the opponent has Agumon in the back, 3 Tamers, 2 of them being Marcus Agumon, and he only has like 1 security and like 2 blockers. I guess Neptune can block twice at least. But it's probably just going to get DP minus to death anyway. I don't think the Neptune is going to be much of a factor. Even though he's like 14k with the double Homeroses. Gain 1 of memory from Agumon. He starts at 4, goes into Geo Greymon. I wonder if he still has resources. Ooh, he has scrambles? So which means he can go into Rise Gray without passing turn? Yeah, and it's that Rise Gray. So its effect just suspends one of your yellow Tamers, activating the effect. Draw him a card, and he gets to evolve for cheap, so he gets to evolve into another Shine Gray. Does he have another Shine Gray? Well, if he left the Marcus in the trash for the future Shine Gray play, then you have to assume that he does have Shine Gray. Shine Gray comes down. I'm assuming he's going to DP minus the Neptune. Should be enough. can then also, yeah, he also played Marcus and Agumon from the trash, which then can delete the Minerva. Now Minerva actually plays out a body, which then DDG evolves the Shine Gray. Alright, now things are happening that I actually can follow. But what now? Okay, he's just gonna swing at security for that last security check. Partly why I thought that this was gonna be enough. Not like the paper can block here, right? Was that effect also when attacking? So he's also gonna DP minus it and gain the memory. Checks into the okay, he's just scooping it up. I gotta read BT17 Rise Gray. It feels like it was the kind of card that people just were not playing before the new stuff. The new Marcus and Agumon being a card really like jettisoned the BT17 Rise Gray into playability. Yeah, it is when digivolving and when attacking. That's so crazy. So keeping turn on it is super good in this deck because you can potentially activate multiple Marcus with suspending effects. That's cool. So maybe you potentially might have even intentionally chose to use BT17 Rise Gray there, knowing that the opponent would most likely just de-digivolve his Shine back down into it, and he can just reuse the effect that way. That's nutty. That makes de-digivolve even like on opponent's turn like even weaker against Shine. Was that all game one? That was a long game one. We only have like 18 minutes left for the next two games. I guess that is how it is. TS has a lot of ways to like come back, as we saw. So it does lead to somewhat lengthier games at times. Alright, looks like both of them chose to keep their hands. Crown Red's going first. Evolve into Agumon for free. What do you see? DGO, Agumon. Agumon to search. Get top 3. Or top 4, I believe. You can pick up one of the two Greymons. He's going for Ruin, it looks like. Yes, player just evolving an Digimon in the back. And setting up the Danon Cannon. And then, ooh, it actually does use the Abyss area this time. Is he going to play anything out with it? Yep, there's Gomamon to search. Yeah. Nice. Really solid start. The way that TS makes these search rookies even better by having all these ways to sort of like get extra value as you play them is super nutty. Just a deck that generates so much advantage. Okay, Scramble to do nothing, just to get it on the board, and then Ukomon. Interesting. The awkward thing is that Ukomon here, I don't know if it's just bait or something, because it looks like it'll probably just die pretty easily here. Since the TS player can potentially, I mean, they can do a lot. They can go into Neptune. They can even, like, even with nothing else on board, they can, like, swing the Agemon to suspend it with They're just gonna hard slam Neptune, bottom decking both of those level 3s. Next, that also leaves him with nothing to grab back with Scramble or anything. Gosh, and an in-between theater off the Ganon Cannon. Choosing whether or not to attack one of his bodies. Yeah, just let the... Oh yeah, that could potentially Alliance. He chooses not to. No, he did Alliance. He gets on suspend. But that gives a lot to the opponent player here. A Marcus and a DGO out of security is insane. That's massive. Yeah. Now Cameron can actually move up like Agumon and get a memory off of it. He has 2 Agumons on board. He could potentially... This is the Marcus that can pay 1. Become a Digimon, but chooses not to. He's using the DGO to search. I'm assuming he's missing a piece here. Either a 4 or a 5, or maybe Shine Gray. I mean, picking up the cards so fast, it's been hard for me to keep track of like which cards they have picked up so far. But he has that Rise Ray now, which means you can slam it. Yep. Not to pass over. But it does turn off the Homeros. Yeah, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's... What's it? Minus 12k? That's barely not enough to DP minus the 13k Neptunemon here, which is a little sad for him. So Neptunemon might actually get to live here. Yeah. And you can still block with a Neptune, which just makes it Rise Gray go back up there. A lot to pass over. Since the, you know, it's basically 8 memory thanks to Homeros, but Homeros is suspended, so he doesn't get a second proc of Neptunemon to wipe the board with. And even then, even if you could Neptunemon, unless he goes into another one here, it'd only target the 1 Agumon on board. Or the 1 Magumon in the middle of the board here. Makes a security so that he could play Hiroko. Hiroko grabbing... Is that Tapermon? I'm guessing he's looking for something specific then, because he might just be playing that Tapermon here. Remembering to unsuspend his Ganon Cannon, it's not stunned or anything. Locomon. Locomon finding another Homeros. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing this version of the deck, then Locomon does feel pretty insane when he gets to, like, free play all those Tamers that get you so much value in this deck. Now he can activate that Homeros that he just played out to get another bounce off of his Neptune. But again, it would only target the one little Agumon. But if he goes into some level 6 here that can potentially manipulate the board enough, like a Minerva to de-Digivolve some cards, yeah. Minervamon de-Digivolving that Shine Gray means that now the... oh, never mind. That's a second... or technically 3rd Homeros. So now you can just completely wipe the board by using Homeros effect. twice on his Neptunemon. Taking security for 2 checks thanks to Alliance. And Marcus comes back down and hits an Agumon, which does nothing. And then drops a Venusmon. Ooh, so is he potentially going to think of stunning the board instead of wiping it? I'm assuming that he'd probably... Okay. Yeah, the Venus also strips there, so you can like now use one of the Homoroses to just bot deck all of the Digimon. And then the other Homoros... I mean, he doesn't even have to like use the other Homoros at this point. Since everything is already stunned, he's using the other Homoros to trigger Minerva to then play another Homoros. And he gets to get in between theater off of his Ganon Cannon. What a deck. There's like nothing else plays like it. It's almost like Royal Knights-esque with how much you're slamming level 6s. But it plays, like, since it doesn't have like Yggdrasil, it still feels like it still plays very differently. Alright, so Scramble is happening to get the Agumon on board, and then also Shine Great into his hand. That is the Agumon that can warp if the opponent has a 10k DP Digimon. So that is a play available to him. Get the, where is it? The BGM rolling again. Oh, I love this track. Or you feel the TS player revealed 4 cards with in between? That could happen. It's a memory boost type of effect, so it's easy to like. I think it'd be easy to like to have that happen to misremember. I feel like I miss things all the time too. They've been playing really quickly, so it feels like even if I look away for a second to like read chat or something, or restart my playlist, it feels like I missed something. All right, so instead of warping up, he's evolving into the Rise Gray, which feels bad here because the effect of Venusmon is that the Marcus can't suspend, period. So he can't even activate the Rise Gray effect here. So he's just gonna scoop it up. Maybe he was just evolving so he can cycle into something he was missing, and actually be able to, you know, deal with the board in some way. Maybe he was missing like Marcus and Agumon or something. You didn't see that card come down all that game. Alright, how much time do they have left? Let's see. Because now we're going into game 3. 7 minutes? And 7.5 minutes. I believe. I might already in his hand. I think we saw him well earlier from the TS player. Setting up very quickly since they have limited time. And Cameron opting to go first again. Gone first like all 3 games here. Doing the evolve for 1 trick with the Agumon. They can evolve over yellow eggs for 1. Opponent is going taper in the back and then immediately Abyss area. Abyss area can play our rookie maybe. Yep, there comes Alekmon. Ooh, Alekmon finding him, I believe, Homros and I think Locomon as well. Okay, what's Kremlin gonna do here? Evolve for 3. Ooh, going for the expensive evolutions here. Like, it's choking the opponent, but like it feels like he's overpaid for cards twice now. To me, that kind of indicates to me that he's like his hand is like not great, and he really needs to just draw into something that he's missing, or like better setup. No DGOs, no Tamers being played. It's kind of scuffed. At least if you have that specific Geogray in the back, his next turn he could like, you know, even from this position, just sort of like slam a Marcus and then make a play. Okay. This player opting to go super aggressive here, just slinging the rookies in. The first one hit a Rise Gray, which is not bad for you, but hitting a Marcus and Agumon is kind of bad. And then he slams. Now that the Tapermon lived, you can slam that Minerva. Then play out these cards. Blimpmon, okay. Blimpmon is another one of those I don't see too often. Mainly because I guess I don't see too often this sort of like slam style of TS, which is a viable way to play it for sure. It's just that most people that I know mostly like prefer like the Sylphies. But I don't hate the Blimps and Locos. You know. If your deck is more consistent than your opponent, that's another way to win to win over them. Okay, going into the Rise Guy, I guess you're spending the Marcus and Agumon. You're getting draws off of it, and then he gets to evolve for cheap. Evolve for 3 less. Or first he has to DP minus something. So I can minus 3k something. Choosing between maybe like removing the Tapermon outright, or DP minusing the Minervamon to turn it down into like a 10k to make it easier to remove for the Shine Gray. I do think he already drew twice. Let's see another draw here. Yeah, because Agumon, Koromon, and then the Tamer all draw. Shine Gray? Okay. This is BT17 one, which has an interesting protection effect, but otherwise I don't remember what BT17 Shine does. I know it has a protection. On Digimon gets to play Marcus. Like he did that. That's it. That's the only other effect. Feels like a weaker version of 81 Greymon and Shine Gray in that case. But sometimes I guess you want a 5th. And then just evolves into Ruin. Interesting. Ooh. Okay. But maybe this was the plan here. Maybe he minus 3k'd the Minervamon, so it's gonna die to the minus 10 from Ruin mode. Chose to block with that card? That's interesting. I think I would have just blocked with the Minerva at that case. And maybe he wanted the Ruin to delete itself, to clear it. Because if he blocked with the Minerva, it could on deletion de-digivolve. I mean, he didn't even play anything off the on deletion there, unless the yeah, maybe he just wanted the Minerva to die so he can on deletion play out the Homeros, set himself up later or better. I guess it didn't make too much of a difference because even if he blocked with the Minerva, unless he had wanted to Digivolve, it was just going to delete the other Digimon anyway. Now with players playing setup as if it's turn 1 again. Ukomon for Camrad and playing a DGO, and on the other side, it's just like evolving up into Agiamon effect, grabbing a security, playing down Den and Cannon, which then, since it's on Wind Moving effect on start of main, he can gain the memory off of it, so now he goes up to like 4 memory. Swings, hits a rookie so it lives, doesn't even have to barrier. Cracking the in-between theater going to 6. Maybe slamming another Mega here. Or maybe evolving into Locomon. Nope, slamming another Minerva. Choking the 1. Pretty good. which plays another Homeros, which now he has 2 Homeros triggers to then play even more bodies out with the Minerva effect. Tapermon grabbed Tapermon and In Between Theater. He didn't pass enough memory to play that In Between Theater though. Not off of the Damon Cannon. And that's the only one he's going to play, leaving the other Homeros up. Ukamon comes up. He finds 2 Agumons and a Marcus and Agumon. So technically 3 Agumons, because one of them's attached to a Marcus. Okay, grabbing one of the Agumons. I believe that's the Warp one. Hatching, and then I'm assuming he's going to evolve that Agumon in the back. Evolve Search Agumon in the back. Yeah. This is where him going for Agumon here, like, you know, or not Agumon, I'm going for Ukamon here. It feels like that, like, this is what I was talking about when I was saying that Ukamon isn't, I feel like, not that crazy problematic of a card, because you can get stuck in these situations where you evolve Ukamon in the mid to late game, and now it's like, oh, now I don't have, like, a play that actually, like, lets me evolve up. I mean, I guess you could have just slammed Rise Grade to make a good play here. But if your deck doesn't have like a way to do that, then it's like, you know, you just sort of, just for an extra search, give up one of your like move up turns, and you're facing up against an opponent that's like threatening lethal. You know, you might have accidentally screwed yourself. And in this position, you know, if he wants to have any sort of like relevant play here, he has to do a slam play. Ooh, wait, I like this. It goes for the Agumon. That allows him to use the effect of Marcus and Agumon to turn Marcus into a Digimon, allowing the Agumon to evolve for free into a Shine Gray instead of just... So it's like a cheaper way of doing the Rise Gray play. Very nice. Plays the Marcus for free. Then he goes DP minus... was it? 15? Which means he can get rid of the... Yeah, he can get rid of the Minerva if he wants to. The thing is, like, probably would not be the worst idea to do so, because the on deletion would trigger at the same time as the other effects, so he still gets to do the deletion effect and the DP minus Marcus effect before... Okay, yeah. Yep, and he deletes, drops that down, DDG evolves. Either way, same outcome. He gets to wipe the board except for the one body played from the Minerva. His turn, gain 1, then gain... Okay, he ordered it, yeah, so goes up to 5 with all of his tamers from 2. Gains 1 from each of them. Evolves into Agio. Yep, another security to get another tamer down. What are you looking for with Hiroko? There's level 5 of theirs. Yeah, they picked up the Locomon and not the Venus or the Minerva. It's not like what he was looking for those cards. Is he maybe looking for a Neptune here? Parrotmon, okay. On Evo, he gets to suspend something, so now we can potentially get rid of the Uko or the Agumon. Backing boost. What? You thought he had to bottom deck it for a second? Okay, nope, you don't bottom deck it, you trash it. Slam Venusmon. Okay, interesting. Rip that source. I'm guessing he just left the Parrotmon there as like a funny on deletion trap. But unless he gives it blocker in some way, the opponent can probably just ignore it. Well, he still has the DP minus with Shine if he goes into Shine. I'm assuming then he would just like target the Venusmon, but then he gets to activate the Venusmon. But yeah, with the Venusmon played plus the double Homeros, everything on his board is stunned. The camera does have 5 memory and a Digimon in the back. I believe he can still possibly make some good plays here. And depending on what's in his hand. Right? Gotta remember to activate Ukamon. Ukamon is still on the board. But there's another Marcus and Agumon, so if he plays that out, he can potentially, he still has that available to him. That's the last egg. How much time do we have left? They definitely have to be in overtime by now. They're past overtime. So Michael is effectively just letting them continue, unless this is like the final turn in overtime or something. Into Geogray. Now if he slams that Hammer, he can potentially evolve into Rise Gray and make some plays happen. Probably be best if he had like multiple, and then be able to like slam, evolve into Rise Gray, swing with the Rise Gray, evolve into Shine, play another one. Since the DP minus is the Venusmon, then the Venusmon effect would end up potentially just security bottoming the swinging Marcus he slams right now. So pretty solid end board for the TS player. These two are just annoying assholes to get rid of, as they both have these sort of pseudo protections. Oh, Parrots is a pseudo protection. Okay. Yep, slam a Marcus. Effect evolve, effect turn into a Digimon, effect make it swing. I feel like this has to be just declared a tie by now, right? I'm not sure if from this position whether or not Conrad can like win on this turn. And considering we're like past 5 minutes in overtime, this should just be like the last turn. So he evolves into Shine. He has a Marcus and Agumon in his hand to play out for free with a Shine. Haven't seen any analogs from him, because I think I remember Cameron used to play analogs to get some more consistency and to get like Marcus and Agumon's in the trash. Shine Gray to play. Is he choosing whether or not to alliance? Well, since before he alliances, he has to. Yeah, DP minus. Did he not protect here? Is he choosing to delete the Parrotmon here? No, he's choosing not to delete the Parrotmon. That's a you may effect. DP minus the Venusmon. I'm surprised the Venusmon didn't just like put away the Marcus or something to avoid the damage being taken here. Swing for game? Yeah, because if you use Venusmon effect, then you could have survived and this could have been a tie. least I think so. I guess the thing is, I don't think it would make much of a difference. Other than like, yeah, probably should have used the Venusmon when leave the battle area effect. But I guess since the time is up, you just chose to like give it up to Cam right here instead of leaving it as a tie, because ties kind of suck ass. And especially sucks ass in a position like this when there's only like 7 players. Yeah, now we're like almost 10 minutes into overtime. They're pretty generous here. We're kind of chill on in the Eagle's Nest. Feels like at any point there, Michael could have just gone, "You're taking too long," and like, forced them into declaring a draw. All right. Last round. We're going into table 1. Which means we're following Camred here. Marshmallow, I know, has been playing TS a lot himself. Though I think his build, from last I checked, unless he's changed his build since the last time I played against him, his build should also be, it should be pretty different from the last one we saw. One with more Sylphimons and Marukimons to go for high damage and or OTK plays. Which I think speaks well to like how many different ways that you can like build TS, even though they all still end up looking very similar because they mostly just use the same top end. You change the cards in the middle there somewhere, change the 5s up around, change the bottom end around up somehow, and it still feels like a very different deck, even though it's playing 90% of the same cards. Setting up now. And they got started quick. Anrad going first, evolving Agumon in the back. Playing Agumon. Top 3, top 4, I remember. You can grab the Marcus, and you can grab Ruin Mode here. Not grabbing Geogray. He probably already has a Geogray. Yep, TS. So like I said, he's playing the Bukamon, a much more aggressive version, aiming to go for high damage and potentially OTK plays. Having this Sylphimon here. And his Gomamon promo in the back is a proxy because, of course, those cards are pretty expensive. Might be why some people would gravitate towards like the Slam version, because a version that revolves around Sylphie, really would like to be playing the promo rookies as well. At least there's going to be cheap alternatives for those cards once BT25 comes out, even though they are going to be substantially worse. Interesting. So he's going for the that's cool. Turning off the Hiroko by putting him to 0 with a 3-cost Evo to Geogray, and then slamming the 5-cost Marcus. I like that. That's pretty forward thinking here. But it is early enough that I imagine that maybe him going for the I mean, if you picked up the Sophie there, I guess you do expect them to go for the Sophie on the next turn right away. And going for Danon Cannon for... Yep. Oh. That's interesting, because now he picks up the Garurumon, he should have like the double 4. Needs, okay, he probably already has a Garurumon or another level 4 to play off of the Hiroko. So he instead grabs another rookie. But he's pretty set up here. We might see him just like move up and kill if Camrad can't again push him to 5. But even if he does, right? He probably still has enough memory to potentially go into a Sophie and make huge swings here. The only thing he's probably missing here is that since he evolved into Cyclomon in the back and not like an Agiomon, that Cyclomon can't swing for 1 check. So like put the opponent down to 4. Because if he puts the opponent down to 4, then Sophimon into Maruki and or Neptune is lethal. Okay, going to Rise Gray, turning Marcus into a Digimon, having it swing. Marcus can then DP minus gain a memory. Like we're alliancing here as well to go for 2 checks. Oh, just Abyss area on the top? That's crazy. So you can just replay the lets you play any play cost 5 or lower, right? From hand or trash. You can just replay the Tapermon if you'd wanted to. Ooh, or Gatomon? How big is the Marcus? If it's 3k, then after the attack ends, it'll die. First do the second check. Yeah, and then it's gonna be DP0, then die, and then get put on top of security, which does push him away from death here. Make it harder for Marshmallow to go for an OTK. It looks like scramble for no evolution into slam Marcus. End of turn Marcus swing. Again, keeps putting the opponent to 5. They continually just shut off the opponent from having their relevant memory 4 or less effects, the relevant start of turn effects. This next meta might make you retire? Really? Are you talking about BT25 meta or the current meta? Because the current meta, there's like so much, like it's so diverse. It feels like one of the better metas generally, unless you just don't like the decks that are available. BT25? Have you been testing it and not liking what you see as Shine and or BL Star feeling oppressive, or and or Reboot and or what else was good? There's another Glowing Dawn. What have you been testing into, Nezo? That's making you like thinking of just giving up. Because look at there's a lot of pretty decent decks coming out of it. Marshmallow moving up. No effects to gain any memory or get any free Digimon off his Hirokos because Conrad has been doing a really good job of playing around it all, like constantly slamming 5-cost tamers. Ooh. Going for the slam the Maruki for 7. Ooh. Oh, you gotta remember to pay the memory for that. Alright, so then he uses the Slippymon effect. He can give the Sec Plus and DP boost and attack effect to the Maruki, so the Maruki can still like attack twice. Oh my god. That's right. The turn is stolen here. Because that Marcus is still on the board. Oh, did he account for that? End of turn, still swing again. Over the Rise Gray this time. Maybe he should have swung over the Rise Gray in the first place to avoid losing the memory here. Okay. I guess maybe he was just fine doing it this way. He just wanted to pass the opponent. You feel like Shine is oppressive? Hmm. That's crazy, because Shine got like one new card. Period. A lot of what it would be doing is to be the same. What are the starter decks? I know the starter decks gets new cards, but most of that is not is for like the Data Squad deck, right? Maybe I haven't seen anyone test it enough to know whether or not these new cards change much. I guess we got Agumon on play, which only searches Data Squad cards. Just about everything here is for the Data Squad archetype. I guess the new Dual Tamer or the new dual card, dual Shine Gray. That's probably the big one if you're just talking about cards from the starter deck. Or is the Data Squad deck itself really strong? Because I know Glowing Dawn is really good. And I've heard that the Data Squad deck is alright, especially since Rosemon Stunning Tamers feels really strong. I'll have to look into it. Because I've watched a couple of my friends test PT25, but they've been testing like basically every other deck. Reboot. I've seen them play Reboot, Bielstar, Glowing Dawn. Those are like the main ones. I do feel like it's like too early to give up. I have to look away for a second to look at the cards and miss what's happening here. But it looks like he scrambled to go into a 3 and then evolved up into Rise Gray, and then just started swinging like crazy. The Murky is gone and there's no Shine on board, so I'm assuming he just attacked over it. Maruki on play can swing and pierce. And then end of turn, and unsuspend and end of turn attack for game. Assuming it looks like Marshmallow did take game 1 here. And Cameron was doing a lot to try to hold him off too, with all the gamers being put to security and such to heal himself. Thanks for the follow. Hope you're enjoying this high-level gameplay. Dual card and burst. Hmm. You don't play much decks from protection with DP minus, so it's but so for decks you actually enjoy, so it's been rough. But what makes that different from any previous format? Because it feels like DP minus has been pretty relevant for a while now. I think it's the current format that isn't too many, but like, you know, we just got away from Hoodie format, and with Hoodie being the most relevant deck and it DP minusing, it's like, I don't know, it feels like DP minus has always been like a relevant feature. And, you know, there's a bunch of other decks I think that are still gonna be viable. You could just like still play in the format, and as long as you run into people playing anything other than Shine, you can still, you know. Unless Shine becomes tier 0 or something, I think you can still reasonably still play the game and just like dodge the Shine players, or just like take it on the chin whenever you find like the one or two people playing Shine. Trying to build a generic deck in general? You like it since you like it simple? Generic in what way, actually? Digimon in general has been very heavily shifting towards a very archetype-oriented design. We haven't seen too many decks that are just sort of like mishmash of like the best cards. Like Ricky Rush and like Security Control haven't been like prevalent things in a hot minute. I guess the closest thing to like generic, if you in that sense, is like maybe TS, since it's like a very huge archetype that you have like a lot of options in. A simple color deck. Meta still has a lot of simple color decks too. Okay. Who am I to tell you how to play? If you're having fun, then that's like the best. That's the best, you know? You don't need to play the meta. Especially right now, since a lot of people are like doing well with all sorts of decks, mainly because a lot of things are viable right now. Yeah, Black Raymon's a great Digimon, but he definitely needs a bit more support. He fell into the trap of like making his archetype focus around an ace in when Sinister Order came out. I mean, ace is now like turning into a card type that's being very heavily depreciated, I guess. They're focusing less on it because they kind of realize that aces aren't that good as a card type. So maybe the next time we see some support for Black or Greymon, they'll probably design it even better and probably become playable again. It feels like in a way they might be hinting towards that, since they've been giving us Greymon cards as like prize support, and we got the Greymon X reprint as well. So might be a matter of time for the day that Black or Greymon becomes vogue again. Not able to pull the Ace in Sinister Order, yeah. It is unfortunate if that happens. I feel similar too. I was thinking that maybe I'd build like I have Demon Lords, and I was thinking of building it towards a more Belphamon-oriented top end, but I did not pull that many, or if any, of the new Belphamon Rage mode. I think I would really need if I was going to shift the deck in a more Belphamon-oriented position. That's so funny. You didn't pull Black Raymon Ace, but you instead pulled some Magnet Dragon thing, and Magnet Dragon thing, yeah, is pretty meta right now. and you don't like playing meta. That's unfortunate. But it's fine. As long as you're having fun playing with what you do have, then that's all that matters. Yeah, there is a lot of close support in that box, so it's inevitable that you do pull quite a bit of it. So look away to chat for a second. The board set looks like a mess. Pyramid has like a huge board of like like an rookie, an Agumon, a Geogray, and a Marcus. An Agumon on the back. Meanwhile, Marshmallow is just setting up a bunch of search rookies to try to find pieces here. He bought deck, so it didn't. Pyramid did not 7-5 this time, so we got him. He got to be able to use his Roko for once to looks like set up double, or did he? No, did he use his Roko here? I looked away, so but either way, he got 2 level 4s down. He's going to be able to do the DNA, like swing, put him down to 4, and then DNA into into Sylphimon. Hermit might have just killed himself here. The thing is, in this matchup, like, leaving bodies on board is very much a potential death sentence because it enables Marukimon to have, like, even cleaner OTK lines. Yeah, now he can, like, swing for 2 checks with Sylphimon. Oh! He hit a big guy. But he has barrier, so he just barriers. And now you just go into Maruki here. Yeah. Maruki on Evo unsuspend. Suspend his Digimon and Tamers. Attack into something. Pierce over it for 2 checks. His on Evo only lets him attack Digimon, so you have to keep your board clear of Digimon if you don't want to die to Maruki in this way. Yeah, and then you go end of turn attack. He didn't even use the Bukamon. Wow, that was very fast. That's the scary thing about facing against the OTK variants of TS. Is that, like, it feels like you're doing fine against them, and, like, game 1, because you have a back and forth game, and then and then suddenly you have a game where your hand is, like, less than optimal, and your opponent just goes, you're dead. That search rookie you put on board is now the thing that's killing you. Well, you had to have multiple, since normally one of them will get killed by Sylphimon. Pull a lot of close support, you pull a lot of purple cards, Demon Lords, and Bagra Army stuff. That's because you opened Sinister Order. Sinister Order, that's the entire theme is villain cards. So you're getting mostly, you're gonna be getting a lot of Bagra, purple, a lot of clothes. Yep. Marshmallow takes it tonight. Congrats to Marshmallow. OTK TS still good. Yeah, your Locos doesn't have a huge meta scene. We usually play tier 2 decks, it's way more fun that way. You haven't seen a lot of TS except for on DCGO. Yeah, but the thing is that TS definitely is one of the top decks. But it's not like there's still so many other top decks to play, you know? You just look at, like, recent regional results, right? I feel like for most locals, though, they do tend to lean towards playing very, like, tier 2-ish, more like casual play games. It's just more fun for a lot of people. And if your locals is that way, then you probably don't have to quit if just because of Shine and BT 25. Even if it's like the best thing to play, doesn't mean it's going to be the only thing you run into. Back on Fraud Watch, Miss Lethal, because you tunneled on removing Maruki. That's what happened there. I was wondering because it was looking pretty back and forth. It looks like you were getting pretty close at the end of game 1 there. It's a very different matchup to go from a TS deck that focuses on control versus a TS deck that focuses on OTK. Assuming Table 1 is now doing a little interview for Marshmallow. You can see how Table 3 is the last deck playing, so we can see what they're doing. We'll wait for Camrad to come get out of ad jail. And everybody else, of course. We got Crossheart versus Medusa again. Resolving a Taiki here. Looks like he played that off the end of attack effect of Omni Shout, which is pretty cool. Use a player turn. He's got an Eliza on board, an Owen on board, and an Eliza in the back. Welcome back, Camrad. Yeah, it sucks to see what happened there. No, that's fine. You're doing pretty strong all tournament regardless, right? It is how it is against the Maruki OTK variants of TS. It's a very volatile matchup. I kind of hate it for that. Oh, what's going on here? You know, that deck doesn't interact with the board as much, and if you leave anything on board, it's something there's an invitation to like give your opponent an easy way to OTK you. You're doing so strong game 1 there too. A lot of plays to just like shut off their Hirokos. You're playing so well. Just haven't won in a minute. It happens. Look at me. Outside of the one regional, I thought I don't win too many of these Eagles Nests either. Though lately I haven't been playing them too much either. Been focusing a lot on commentating them because it's something else that I also want to be doing too. These streams, is commentating these events. You get points to keep getting free entries, lol. True. Yeah, ELS is stacked with great players for sure. Oh, we're seeing a cross 7 on the board. Yeah, the Medusa player is not doing super hot here, just playing searching rookies to try to dig for pieces. Cross damage is going to drop down. Hit piercing too, so you can bot deck the standing Eliza and swing over the suspended one, pierce into it, and check security. But he's passing turn on this, it looks like. He's definitely going to have to use that card to attack with it. But if he's not killing the opponent, he might check into something like a scramble that might win the opponent the game. Like he's killing that Eliza. If he checks into scramble, he did not check into scramble. Okay. Cross 7 just for removal feels bad. I think it's fine. Cross 7 innately has blocker, does it not? Last I checked. Or does it need to have it via an no, he needs a inherit for it. Right? You need like Altlar Ballista or something. But he does have it. So he still has it as a blocker, and if he gets removed, he gets to play something out from it. Like for example, the Jaeger Derulu, which can stun a Digimon, which both of those things are pretty good. Because you've just got the way you're passing for. We'll see. I'm still imagining that, like, just because he has the Jaeger Derulu underneath it, he still has like a disruptive element there. So he's using the Owen. Doesn't have another Owen to replace it with. So he's just using it just to play the free Elizamon. My GM stopped again. He's not even pulling out of the back. He's just... Yeah, he's got nothing. Wow. He's been missing 5s this whole time? At this point, even having a 5 here won't matter because he's at 0 memory, so... Even if he gains back 2, since he doesn't have Digimon, he's not going to be able to go into Medusamon or anything. Classic red, no boost, no training, it's just GG's. You're not pulling him at the back. You have 3 copies of Lucamon, 3 copies of Chaos Mode, and 1 Sane Mode, if that helps. Lucamon is an alright archetype. It's definitely not meta, though. So if you want to put it together, that is actually kind of one of the more expensive ones, thanks to the other Chaos Mode that you need, the EX6 one. Luckily, that one's reprinted at low rarities from 81. That probably went down in price, but it would still be like a deck that you would need to, like, you know, gather a bunch of singles for. I guess you'd also need to get some of the Dynasty one and Lord Knight, which might also make put it up in price. But yeah, red player bricked. Crossheart wins. The card is $2 now? That's crazy. That's a good call for them. I wish they did more of that, to be honest. 81 feels like a weird set because, like, on one hand, it makes some archetypes so much cheaper, and then made some other archetypes way more expensive. It's so weird that I kind of get why they chose to, like, also bundle in a bunch of new cards. But because of a lot of those new cards sort of revitalized their own respective archetypes, you end up in this, like, weird scenario where, like, a set that should be making the game, like, a lot cheaper to get into, thanks to reprints, also makes a bunch of meta decks more expensive to get because the new cards are really expensive and you need like 4 of, and they make those decks meta, right? Like, how expensive, like, is 81 Shine now? Last I checked, it was like $20 or $30 or something. You need like 4 of those. So it's like a weird set that simultaneously makes some things cheaper, but then also makes the game kind of still more expensive to get into. Yeah, 20 each. Oh yeah, because you also need the Marcus and Agumon. Well, ironically, it feels like in the reprint set, they introduced a bunch of new cards that in turn also need reprints because they're also really expensive. Like a super rare should not be that much. Even like for like, you know, even for like meta decks, oftentimes their super rares don't go past like $5 to $10, right? But if for an 81, all these like supers are like 20, which is not okay, I think. Yeah. It's weird how 81 is like so good on the reprint side and so bad on the new card side. Kind of a slow start here for the Crossheart player, not having to start their first turn just playing just a Taiki. Meanwhile, the Medusa player now has like 2 bodies and an Owen on the board. But he's able to just drop that EX6. Only 2 pieces though. Yeah, that Taiki doesn't even let him use the Omni Shot from underneath of it. That still lets him clear the board, so he doesn't have to worry about those 2 Digimon. Oh, that's not an Omni Shot, it's a Shooting Star. Yes, clears that board. Oh, the Taiki lets him swing at least. No, he can't because he doesn't have Rush, because he doesn't have Omni Shout. Yikes. But he cleared the board, which is probably the more important part. Leaving those bodies on the board would have been a death sentence. Ooh, throwback formats would become a lot easier to do, yeah, with the reprints. That's why you stopped playing a while back, because it feels impossible to do a deck. Hey, at the very least, you can always play on TCGO. You still like playing it as a casual thing. I feel like no matter what card game you go to, for the most part, it's going to be, you're going to have to spend some amount of money to like build a actual like, you know, competitively viable deck. And I'd say that outside of like what ID1 did to the game, for the most part, Digimon tends to not like lean into the more expensive to side. At least compared to its contemporaries. There's obviously some decks out there that tend to rise in price because they have like secret rares that they need like 4 of. Like I probably would have played Royal Knights during like BT 2021 format if it weren't for the fact that in all the boxes of BT of 2.5 that I pulled, that I opened, I've got plenty of secret rares, but 0 Omnimon X's, right? Instead, they gave me freaking. Instead I got a shit ton of Nenemon, Lunamon Nene versions, which is kind of upsetting. But with the meta being as wide as it is, there's probably always a budget option that's still viable. Omni-X got cheaper, Medieval Gallant got cheaper as well. Yeah, but like I'm talking about like in reference to like back then when that set released. It feels like the game should be overall cheap, but there's always just like something or other that keeps a good deck out of its price range. And by the time they make reprints that make it cheaper, that deck becomes like a lot less relevant. So like, sure, Omnimon X is finally cheaper. I can make it's a lot more affordable for me to get them together, so I can actually build Royal Knights. But then it's like, do I really want to build Royal Knights right now? I guess I could in preparation for Chivalrous 13. But Chivalrous 13 isn't even a an Yggdrasil support set. It's a individual Royal Knight deck support set. Yeah, most of the cards are bulk, but then it's like it's always just like the one secret that you need 4 of. But still, even if you're still like only paying like what on 20 to get like a playset of a secret that you need of, and then everything else is basically free or super cheap, that still puts Digimon on the range of being like in the middle of like expensiveness for a card game. Like I said, compared to like the other card games on the market. Yeah. Like I said, there's always some archetypes there that are viable and aren't actually really expensive to put together. Medusa is a great example. There's like no secrets to worry about. There's no like weirdly expensive promos to worry about. So once you get your trainings and scrambles, which are generic and therefore could also go into a bunch of other decks, you basically got the most expensive stuff out of the way. And the thing about cards like trainings and scrambles is they keep reprinting them too. They're always in reprint sense whenever they do them. Which is why I kind of find it kind of weird that they put those cards in like the super rare slot in AD01. We got to see the oh my god, cross 6 evolve into cross 7, evolve into cross 7, evolve into cross 7 for an OTK. That's funny. Boosts are finally under $1? That's sick. Yeah, great time to get into the game for cheapness then. I imagine, like, you know, there should be a bunch of other decks then that are super affordable and meta viable. You know, if Medusa is that cheap, then Puppets are probably just as cheap as well. Yeah, tournament is over now. Kaguya's pricier? You don't need Kaguya, last I checked. I mean, yeah, people play Kaguya, but you can also play the deck without Kaguya and it'd still be a fine deck. Also, not surprised Kaguya is more expensive. For some reason, the Supers and Secrets from EX sets in particular do tend to like rise in price as those sets become out of print. Like, what are you talking about? Kaguya is $5. I just went and checked. Oh, Box Stopper Emblem. Never mind. Yeah. Yeah, that throws everything off. Narrative Rond. I forgot Narrative Rond was super important. Found it. $15 for Narrative Rond? Come on. It's always something like this. The game is so cheap, and then it's like, oh, I want to build this deck. $15 promo, or $30 secret rare. It's gone down. At least it's gone down. Get on the ground floor for Invincibly Invincible, you're gonna cook. Last you looked, it was $30. Makes sense. It's probably because Puppets was super hyped up when people watched Kurova play it at Worlds. At Worlds. So people were probably buying him up, and now it's like where the meta has settled down. Puppets is still viable, but it's not like it's like the one of the only like it's not like Puppets is one of like the only 3 like tier 1 decks. We have like a ton of decks that can be considered tier 1 right now. We have a super wide open meta. You hate promos being good? At least the typically speaking, the store promo participation promos tend to not be expensive. Like, how much is what is? I mean, assuming the Millennium promos, besides Millennium on himself, are probably pretty cheap, right? Same. Synthetic Monster is $1. Wicked God Emerges is $50. Well, that one got reprinted in an LM set, so it's even cheaper now. But yeah, even viable promos can be cheap if they make them widely distributed. The problem tends to be box topper promos tend to fuck things up. But that's why Narrative Rond is super expensive. That's why Shadramon was super expensive when they came out. And it's secrets too. Whenever secrets are good and super meta, then, you know, then a deck also becomes expensive that way. That's why Medusa's in the clear. No stupid promos, no secret rares. Raremon still has you traumatized. At least Raremon wasn't even that good. At least IMO. I'm trying to remember what did people even play Raremon in? It was so long ago. Because I remember, like, I tried playing it in like Demon Lords, and that fell out of favor very quickly. Machine Dramon? I still feel like in that case, it's like you could still play it in Machine Dramon, and people don't, which goes to show that, like, I think people just sort of overhyped it. You know? I feel like the real, from that same pack, I think the real Scourge was Saber Dramon, which is now giga cheap. But that wasn't actually the same pack. But I remember like having to scramble to get those together for nationals during that one year when Anubismon was the best deck in format. Saber Dramon was like way worse than Raremon in my opinion. Straight Machine Dramon Cup, nothing else played Raremon. Yeah. I guess that was before that we even got like Ukomon BT16. Because with BT16 Ukomon and BT15 Demi Mera, that more or less became like the optimal way to do you know, security cycling for Machine Dramon decks. And I guess before you had that, Raremon was like one of your only choices. But it's still crazy that the card was still super expensive when Machine Dramon wasn't even like that meta of a deck. I think else played Raremon. I do remember some people coping it in Leviamon lists for a hot minute. I remember trying it and going, this is kind of mid. Paying 3 to evolve is not great. Was it also played in Lord Knight decks too? I can't remember. But yeah, like I definitely think Raremon definitely overpriced for no good reason. Because it's not like any meta decks needed it. And the one deck that would want it, which is Machine Dramon, wasn't even really meta. But that's still a thing that kept happening too. Vidramon suffered the same curse. The Vidramon that just got reprinted, thank God. Now it's $3. Yeah, the original version of it. The reprint version is $3. The original is still $40. For a card that's good, but for an archetype that, like, again, not meta. Box topper promos seem to have been like a mistake basically every time they do it. Are then they're reprinting the Tamer soon as well? That's true. Yeah, LM Set is getting the Secret Rare Tamer reprinted. It feels like they're aware, you know, or they're setting us up, right? They're giving they're gonna give Allforce crazy support in Chivalrous 13. It's almost guaranteed, considering that he's on the box. They mentioned we're getting a brand new arena in that box as well. And you know, and Allforce is like one of those Royal Knights where he has like a full deck, a full archetype around him, and it's always just been like tier 2 at best, right? He's had this curse for a while now where he's like a climb to level 6 blue deck, and every time he's relevant, there's always a better version of that. Like, you know, BT, what was it? BT11? Oh, BT11 was an awkward set for him. He was fairly relevant, but I think Metal Garurumon was still around at the time. And that was like slightly better, and you're also getting kind of rolled out completely by Black or Gray at the time as well. And by the time it did become playable, it's like, okay, why not just play Mirage instead? Mirage was running circles around Allforce. Yeah, and then they gave it support in Cyber Eden, but that support wasn't nowhere near enough to make it, like, it was good support. It just wasn't enough to make it like a relevant deck. But, you know, it did give them like a bunch of like really important stuff. You know, them getting a level 4 that plays a Tamer if you have one or fewer. That's like a awesome modernization for them. They got a lot more protection too. So given that, plus whatever we get in Chivalrous 13, it might be time to start like eyeing Allforce, you know? Yeah, Sayo's Secret Rare is a busted card. You gotta find a way to break it. The problem is that they're just not supporting Lightfang Nightclaw. Damn, if you think it's busted, you should get on the ground floor right now, because it's $3 for a Secret Rare. And we all know how expensive Secret Rares tend to get when they're relevant. Especially since this one's been kind of out of print since the set's a lot older now. It's also CS Evo. Yeah, I guess it also works for CS decks. The issue is that they didn't make CS good. It's almost crazy how that turned out. You know, back to back, you had CS as like this big archetype based on a video game, and then TS as this big archetype based on a video game, and then CS is super mid and bad, and then TS is like meta threat actually topping a lot. And CS feels like one of those things where they're gonna be kind of one and done with it for a while. So it doesn't feel like that likely it gets some support that actually makes the deck super viable again. Unless, you know, TS has, part of the reason why TS is good is that they have all these Olympus Mons as like their top end, and they're all really good. Compared to the Royal Knights that we got in the CS sets, those cards are like way less good. A lot of them didn't end up even being played in Yggdrasil for the most part, except for maybe a couple. If Chivalrous 13 gives us Royal Knights individual support, if any one of them are like, you know, just for the sake of it, gives it CS trait just for the hell of it, then maybe, you know, maybe a good deck ends up arriving. Jail? Oh, sorry about that. You know, when we're turning apart the Tesseros. I'll be rooting for you then. It's crazy because it feels like they really tried to make CS work as an engine. They gave him a similar gimmick to Galaxy, but with way more cards to work with. And then they gave him all these like extra like support tamers. You have cards like Yugo. You have like they have an individual boost. They have Kyoko. They have Takumi now that gives them the protection effect. So it feels like, and they have Digilab now as well to compensate for the fact that they don't have the memory gain from de-digivolving themselves. So it's like, it feels crazy to me that they tried to give so much to CS and it ended up just not working out for them. We need CS link cards, Prage. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, they made the TS options links because that's how they work in the game. In CS, that's not how they worked. In CS, you had to go through the arduous task of, if you want to get a certain attack on a certain Digimon, you got to like evolve into a Digimon that learns that attack, level it up so it learns it, then go, you know, digivolve and re-digivolve to get him into the Digimon that you want him to be. Tedious as hell, which is why they, you know, replaced it with the system they have in TS. And that's why the TS cards link and the CS cards don't. Still, the CS option card, the CS option card gimmick is still pretty cool. You know, the whole fact that you get to reuse it by attacking again, it's pretty neat. You know, and with Ryuji makes those cards super crazy. Unfortunately, Ryuji is for hoodies just about pretty much exclusively. So maybe if they got like another way besides Ryuji to free play their options, maybe that's like the way you revive CS. Because Ice Archery is a crazy card. I think we've like learned pretty well by now, like from like, you know, seeing Venusmon do work and other similar cards, that stunning tamers is really strong. Obviously, I guess decks can play through it better than ever nowadays. We've seen Camrad play through getting his whole board stunned by Venusmon pretty well. But it's still a really strong effect, so if we can just like give CS another way to free play Ice Archeries, then we might actually have something on our hands here to make CS relevant again. Or not again, for relevant at all. That could be a route that they take. And they did give us another CS option card, right? In a promo. I think it was like a store promo, wasn't it? Which one was it called? It wasn't Soulfear, but the other one. Destruction Shot or something? Destruction Cannon, that's it. Yeah, the CS got another one. I think it was definitely that they just needed to make CS's individual sub-archetypes stronger. That, well, I guess there was another issue there. A lot of their sub-archetypes were way more support for individual different decks than they were support for like the CS deck, right? CS lost a lot of potential cards that they could have used because the Karamon line only really cares about, you know, being in the Dioboro deck. Same with the Ulforce line in that same set. They kept doing that too. There's like a couple of cards that could be used for both, like Kirinmon, you know, is good for both Kintarosmon and CS cards. But they needed to do a lot more of that if they wanted CS to be a good deck. Plus, make the level 6s good. I think that's the big thing, is the level 6s just weren't good. That's so sad that Zaxxon ended up not being playable. Or viable, I mean. Because they had really cool ideas, too. God, there's only like 4 Zaxxon cards. Or 4 Zaxxon Digimon. It's just Phoenix Sakuya, Tiger Vespa Ace, and Machine Dramon. But they had like a legitimately like cool-ass gimmick there with like, you get to play the level 6s for cheap, they on deletion get to go face up Podum security, and then you get to reuse those effects with Machine Dramon. It was like a neat gimmick. Yeah, I guess technically you can't really use Tiger Vespa in Zexon, but he does have the trait. He does synergize with it. The problem being that he's an ace card. That's like the real issue there, is that he's ace. And ace is just kind of ass as a mechanic. I guess that's like another thing that you can like probably say kind of ruined CS, is that it was another archetype that they designed during the ace era, and it basically got depowered by the fact that they made a couple of their cards ace cards. So instead of them getting like a good Tiger Vespa card, instead of them getting a good Owlforce or a good Leopardmon, we got more ace cards that no one plays. Well, Leopardmon does see play in Royal Knights. So, but yeah, and just none of those, like the failure of ace, it was just another archetype that ended up getting shafted by the failure of aces. That's an archetype that have dual card effects that plays them in security, kind of like CS Marine, and you pay 5 to put them in security. God, I was so hyped for Marine Angemon. That was such a cool concept for a deck as well, that unfortunately was super heavily overshadowed by Hoodie being by far the best thing by a country mile. You know, I read I read Marine Angemon, I read Yunogi, and I was like, this is cool, I like this. I wish they, you know, printed a deck around it so it's not just like 2 cards scattered to the winds. I have this cool gimmick. You know, if you have a Digimon team with CS trait, pay 5 to security attack minus some opponent's Digimon and put it on top security. Security plays out, it bounces something, and then you can activate Yunogi. So that when you get deleted, he goes back into security so it can happen again. So many cool ideas just get shafted by being put in like this mid-ass archetype. You're also miffed by how Garo, Date, and Jimmy Ken turned out. We can do this all day with CS sub archetypes. Goro is just kind of nothing. I mean, I guess I mean, I don't know, Goro doesn't feel like that much of a nothing card. But it also doesn't do much for your CS archetype. It gives you a then your Digimon may attack effect, but it triggers off... I mean, it's fine, I guess. Goro could have been the Danon Cannon for the CS archetype because it also lets you attack when you evolve into a CS. Unfortunately, CS isn't good enough of an archetype to make that relevant. And it's okay support for birds, but birds just like lost their place in the meta with the Garuda X limit. I have no idea what they were thinking of Date and Lopmon. It's so random. I feel like it doesn't even work that well. Evolve into part of the archetype, you get to play a Lopmon for free. Cool. By bottom decking the Tamer. In terms of like just generic 3-cost Tamers that are just random characters from the game, they did a way better job with Hiroko and Asuna, right? Way better. I guess it also helps that like TS also had just like way better like Tamer spam. Decent bottom end for the Alpha Kyoko. That's the thing about CS in general, is that like Alpha Kyoko is like the only good top end for the deck in general. Everything else is like a little too mid. So the deck is just basically Alphamon Turbo and then hope that's enough. I feel like returning Date to hand wouldn't be that bad of a cost if you had better ways to cheat it out back again. You know? That sort of thing kind of worked out for, I think, what was it, Christie? For the bird deck? Balanced itself? Or when you did the loop, you more or less bounced it, but then you get to play it back out using one of your effects. What did the Antilamon do again? If the Antilamon played out the Tamer for free... Nope. If the Antilamon at least played it back out for free, which would have made sense for an Antilamon card to do, just make the... Instead of giving it this awkward alterns effect, just make Antilamon say, on Evo, play a Lopmon or CS trait card with the cost reduced by 3. Right? Do that for Antilamon, and then maybe we would have had something there for Date. Probably even then it wouldn't be that good. Again, it's just mid support for a mid archetype. Because no one really plays like pure Cherubi decks. And these cards did not change that at all. Yeah, Matador got that memo. I feel like that deck was almost something. It was again just overshadowed by everything else. That almost felt like a complete deck to do as well. They even had like almost like a strategy that looked almost like feasible and possible to pull off. Minerva and Maruki evolve on all Galaxy level 5s? Minerva evolves on the Reds? Oh, because the Beast can evolution, that's right. Yeah, meanwhile Maruki is just blue. I think that was just for flavor, or more than anything. It's just more or less trying to make them playable outside of the TS archetype. Because they did that thing where they cost 4 if you just do their color evolution. They wanted those cards to be like individually playable, I guess, for some reason. So they gave them a trait-based evolution. They went for Beastkins because, I guess, generally speaking, they evolved from mostly Beastkin types. Yeah, Central Town is mostly all beastie guys, yeah. In general, they're also very, like, Beastman themed. All the Olympus technically are. But for them, even more so. You haven't noticed all the Olympus have, like, an animal associated with them. But for some reason, Minerva and Bacchus both share snakes. I think it has something to do with their like original Greek/Roman influences. Juno, I forgot what Juno's animal was supposed to be. The only reason I'm even talking about this, or even know about this, is because it's mentioned on the Digimon wiki that they have an animal associated. It's why certain evolutions are possible in TS that might seem kind of weird. Like, it seems kind of weird that Orochi evolves into, Orochimon does evolve into, Minervamon, until you realize that Minervamon is snake-themed. See here. What was the animal here? For Juno, it's peacock. Start to see the peacock influences there. For Jupiter, it's an owl, and at the very least, he has like the wings on his head that make it obvious. Or not obvious, but like point towards it. But Juno's is a peacock? That's a lot harder to see. Yeah. Unless the wiki is making this up. But I'm assuming they have like a good reason to put it on there. I mean, for most of them, it's pretty obvious. Lion for Apollo, snake for Bacchus, bird for Ceresmon, rabbit for Dianamon, because rabbit's on the moon. Peacocks for Junomon, owls for Jupiter, panther for Mars, wolf for Mercury, snake for Minerva, fish for Neptune, a dove for Venus, she has a dove, and octopus for Vulcanus. Trying to see if they have like a reference or something to call back on to use, but like I'm not seeing one just by skimming through it. All the way to do Vulcanus, but I'm not going to judge. You're going to ignore his cards until they play 8 token arms and give Elor accurate boss fights. I mean, the arms are in the game. Except they're Link cards instead. They decided to make this whole thing Link cards. Which, for a gimmick on him, I actually don't mind. I think that's actually kind of neat. He's supposed to be a guy who builds weapons, and there aren't really equips in this game besides Link's. So I think that's like their best like approximation right now. But But hey, given that we know that, maybe we can predict some things about future cards. Like, I think for a while now, people have been asking for like Grani and Behemoth cards for Gallantmon and Gallantmon and Beelzemon respectively. And you know, those could easily just be like links that link to specifically, you know, Gallant and Beels that they could like print in the future. Yeah, so they made the Divine Arms links, but I do agree that like based on the way he fights in the boss fight, tokens probably would have made more sense. They probably could even give him a sort of effect where like you can't actually like he's like unaffected by effects while he has Divine Arms tokens on the board, kind of referencing the fact that you don't actually hurt Volcanus until you get rid of all of his arms. Tamers that link would be a really cool idea, actually. Because right now we just put the Tamers in their Digivolution sources. But I think it would make just as much sense for Barrier Merge to work by having you link them instead. And that way, oh my god, it's perfect too! Because then that way, you can give them link effects instead of inherits, so they give something to the Digimon that they link to, and then they also they won't also then count as Digimon or as Tamers with inherit effects, so they don't accidentally synergize with Frontier cards. That's a good call, Nighthawk. They probably should definitely do that in a future set. Whenever they want to go back around to doing Tamers. Which, given the way that they're doing sets right now, I feel like they would. Now that they're doing like archetypes based on specific, giving everyone traits based on the series they're from, they definitely have to eventually get back around to doing, you know, Tamers set with everything having Tamers trait, O2 set that gives everyone adventure trait, Frontier. Do they even have to do it with Frontier? It feels like they already give Frontier a lot of support already. And it feels like because hybrids have been their trait that they work around, that they don't really need to do the whole like trait thing. They don't have to do the whole Frontier trait thing. Unless they just want to, just because it's like one of the last things they haven't done it with yet. Be funny if you link Green account trashing Tocado. Yeah, that would be funny. I imagine that instead they would only link to their specific links. Links have like requirements to what you can link to. They'd probably just make them link to specifically their associated mon. But I guess if they wanted to do like a Tamer's archetype where you play all of them in one deck, then you would have to allow them to link to whoever. Yeah, Tamers and trait. Yeah, it'd have to be that way. But who knows? You know, maybe the way they design these archetypes in the future might change. It already feels like Beat Break or Glowing Dawn in general feels very different from the way they designed Adventure, for example. Like the way they have designed these cards, it definitely feels like you can play them all in one deck, but that's more like to me that feels like that's more like a way to like pad out the deck, like as they wait for more waves of support so that they can eventually be their individual decks. Does that make sense? It feels like they've designed like the Gekomon line and the Murasame line from BT25 to eventually be their own individual decks, but for now you just mash them together, you know, before we have enough cards for them to be individual. Testing on deck attempt number 3 featuring links. Yeah. That'd be crazy, because if they do that, they'd basically have to scrap the entire everything they tried to do with devices up to that point. Yes, maybe they might have to try to do it 2 ways, links and still have the devices. I guess instead of linking the I link Justimon with links. So instead of like evolving over Justimon evolving into Justimon, you instead have Justimon and you link the other arms. That would also work. Wouldn't be the first time they scrapped the existing Justimon. Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time they scrapped the existing archetypes in general. They tend to do that a lot. But I feel like they kind of slowed down on doing that. Especially when you look at like Data Squad. Maybe this is just me, and maybe only I see it this way. But I look at the new Data Squad cards, and it definitely feels like they're doing the same thing they're trying to do with Beat Break, where obviously there's support for the Data Squad archetype, but they're still trying to make them work for the originals. Some of them, not all of them, of course. You know, obviously there's a lot of them that work off the trashing cards underneath your tamers, but some of them, you know, don't, and otherwise just like, you know, you don't really need to have that. Like the Galgamon. We got Galgamon, who is a Data Squad card, but all he does is play Thomas for free, and he's basically the Thomas free play level 4. So he's simultaneously support for the original, you know, pure Mirage deck and support for Data Squad at the same time. So I feel like that might be the direction they're heading right now. It's justified when the archetype is really old. Unfortunately, I don't feel like Justimon is old enough. He's as old, like he's got support as old as like Beat 2.5, which is the same set XL is in, which did get support. Deva support win. Survive set win. If we get a survive set, we'll get another Huanglong, which means we'll get Deva support indirectly that way, unless they screw over Devas by making that the survive Huanglong only work with survive cards, which would suck, but could happen. New Thomas slots interestingly into existing Mirage to ease the transition into DATS mechanics. Yeah, I agree. Like, I see what they're going for here. It's like they don't entirely abandon the old archetype, but rather introduce new cards that ease you into it, into the new stuff, while still being usable with the old decks to an extent. I think the new Mirage is a great example. Let me, you know, pull up Mirage real quick, since I've been talking about these cards without actually showing them. Mirage, the new one, you can return a level 5 Lord of the hand, same thing as BT12. When effects add to your opponent's hand, you can unsuspend. This Digimon may unsuspend. So you lose the memory gain, but the memory gain was the toxic part anyway, in my opinion. But this makes his OTKs a little easier. He gains evade and block and reboot, and the only thing that you need to be playing Data Squad cards for is that, you know, you get the extra effect of if you trash a face down under your tamer, you get to do another bounce. So like, if you aren't playing this in Data Squad and playing this in Mirage, it doesn't feel like you're losing that much. You're losing one extra bounce effect when this card already has one. You're probably, if you're playing this in pure Mirage, you're probably just going to try to be OTKing with it anyway. And since this already can evolve for only 3 and has an unsuspend, it helps you there regardless. So yeah. Please give me a real Survive set. Survive is so underrated, man. I don't care if it's an EXR or whatever. As long as it's like even a half as good as they did TS, I'd be happy. It's crazy since Survive is also mostly just old Digimon too. So I guess there are some Digimon in there that I feel like have been, you know, not supported in a hot minute. Valdermon hasn't been getting anything that isn't directly Excel support. Plutomon, I mean, we're getting Plutomon eventually. But Anubismon, since his limit has been basically, you know, MIA. Bonus points for Lionel evolving to Mirage for free? Mm-hmm. Speaking of field spells, last week I was playing Demon Lords to see how well, like it's a deck that no one plays anymore, and I was wanted to like just to see how bad it is into the current game state. At least I lost to Red Hybrid, I lost to Medusa, which feel like just pretty bad matchups in general. Demon Lords is pretty slow, and it feels even slower into decks that are that aggressive. At least I beat Millenniumon. It's so funny because it's like they can try to like stop my Agudo from coming by putting it on top of my deck with the what's it called? With Millenniumon BT19 version or 18 version. But when they do that, they also have to delete one of my Digimon. That's like a non-optional. So every time he did that, I had a Digimon on board. It would get deleted, and then I go, okay, trigger Rise of the 7 Great Demon Lords, play out BLs, mill those cards you put on top of my deck. Oh, look, Agudamon is still there. Now I can go end of turn, Agudamon swing for game, and it digivolves his Millie, so it doesn't even have like a blocker or anything. It's so funny. All right, good night, everyone. Yeah, it's about time that I log out for the night. Alright. I guess in that case, yeah. We had a good chat. We'll ramble more another day. Since a thing that's come up right now is that, I think I mentioned before, I'm moving. Most of my cards are already in the new place. So, while I'm currently here, I don't have most of my cards. I have like maybe 3 decks with me. So I might be doing a lot more DCGO content. Which I've been saying I've been wanting to do more of anyway. Someone needs to just like poke me and tell me to like, hey, get on DCGO and start streaming, bro. Because I've been one thing I've been wanting to do is like, you know, because I play like the meta is super wide and I play a kind of a narrow subset of decks. I think it'd be nice for me to like hop on DCGO and get myself familiarized with every deck in the meta, which I think will give me a lot to do, right? Draysol content? Yeah, I also want to do Draysol content because I want to do more testing of BT25. Since that set is coming up really soon. I've been, you know, watching some of my friends play those decks, and they look really strong, and I definitely should be testing them for myself at some point as well. Especially if I wanted to, like, continue to do commentary or casting for more Eagle's Nest events. If I can get myself familiarized with these new archetypes, I can do a better job of like commentating them without having to like constantly check back at what certain cards do. It's something I've been trying to push myself to do, but I'm kind of like a lazy procrastinating bastard. So let's see if I can actually get myself to do it this time. So yeah, in that case, let's see here. Am I planning on driving to the new place tomorrow or not? Let's plan for Wednesday at the very least. Commentators that actually want to know the metagame? Yeah, I really do. And I was kind of proud of myself for like being that, but then like this new meta has been kind of difficult for me to follow, especially since I've been playing less as of late, which is something I should not be doing if I also want to be commentating. So yeah, I need to be playing the game more. So hold me up to that. Wednesday stream DCGO. See you then. Good night for now, everyone.